Now, before we continue on with today's session, we have a session from yesterday that we have to have today. We have with us Mr. Krishna Prasad Chitrapura, who's going to be speaking to us about the role of technology in patient experience and patient delight. Mr. Krishna Prasad is the current VP and business head at Practo Technologies. He was senior scientist at Yahoo Labs and was leading the efforts on user response prediction for display advertisements. His primary areas of research interest are statistical machine learning and text and web mining. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
It's quite an introspection kind of a talk, continuing on the same lines by my previous speakers. I thank the organizers for giving me a chance to speak here. Like the introduction, I'm from a technical background. The topic is about, if you look at India, it is one of the largest market for smartphones. We have the highest number of smartphone penetration in the world. And we have some very interesting statistics, right? I mean, if you look at the banks, around 73% of the cash transactions are done on ATM or online, right? If you look at Ola and Uber, close to 20 lakh consumers travel on those taxis and autos every month using a mobile app. And there's like 5 lakh drivers whom Ola and Uber knows at every time where they are, right? They can actually track to the pinpoint where they are. Coming to healthcare, unfortunately, we don't have this kind of technology penetration. We don't use technology as much. We are to be blamed here. We as technologists have not built technology that's easy to use for most of the practitioners and the staff. And we also, we don't believe the technology can solve some of the problems. For example, none of the people here can easily pinpoint and tell where their devices are. I mean, NABH requires to track where of your equipments are. Their technology is easily available to track it down. If Ola and Uber can track 5 lakh drivers, auto drivers, where they are on the road, it's not hard to track where your equipment is. Nor is it hard to track where your doctors are. Most of us don't know where our consultants are, right? I mean, they're on the ground, they're not even in the premise, we don't know. These are all very, very much easy to track using technology. This is going to be the center of the talk. Quick background, Practo, we are one of the very few companies which are both consumer-centric as well as enterprise-centric. We develop software for both. It's also meant for consumers. It's also meant for the enterprises. That keeps us honest. We try to actually solve the problem for the both. Because if you look at any of the examples I said, the technology adoption happened because there's a business need for it. If there's no business need, technology adoption doesn't happen for the heck of it. So whenever, like what Dr. Alex showed is that if you can show there's a revenue loss by doing communication better, people will do it. So technology has to follow in the same line of building the business. How do we do it? This is our theory behind the system, right? If you look at the two loops here, we call it a hyperloop. The left side is completely about consumers. Right side is completely about enterprises. Everybody does lip service for EMR. A doctor or a clinician doesn't use EMR for the simple reason that if it doesn't increase his business, doesn't increase his outcomes, he's not going to use it. He's not going to use it just because it's a regulation or just for the fad of it. How do you really tie this whole thing together is what we're looking in Practo, right? We will do it if we can show that by using a bit of EMR, we can actually make sure the patient comes back to the doctor. Then there is value in doing it, right? There's a follow-up happening. There's value in doing it. How do you automate most of this out? This is what we look at. To talking about the Hyperloop, the basic idea is that we need the consumer really to find a good provider, have the book appointment, stay engaged. Communication, like what Dr. Alex said, can be automated to a large extent. To a simple example, how many of us really do send a message to a patient to tell, come prepared for a certain examination? It's not hard. I mean, there's already standardized templates. You can actually automate it out. As soon as an appointment is booked, you can send these messages out. This makes it more engaging and the communication becomes easier with the consumer. You can do a lot more of those things. In a nutshell, what I'm telling is that the whole idea of practice management is to help consumers or patients discover the doctors and the services we provide, delight them. When I say delight in healthcare, it is not like it doesn't have to be very fancy. It's about communicating well, sending the messages, setting the expectations right, being on time, many of those things which can be used technology for. I'll talk about that in a brief. And lastly is the delivery. Delivery is what you need to focus on. Reiterating, our consumers are already online. They're already young. If you look at, we have got highest population below 35, and they're all new jobbers. Everybody's on a mobile phone. How do they discover? They're already online, right? I mean, we no longer can say that healthcare is outside this, right? I mean, there's a large number of people already online searching for doctors, searching for solutions to their problems, And we as providers need to be there. We need to be available to them. We need to be discoverable to them, right? And that is given. That's happened across different segments. It's also happening very heavily in the healthcare, right? We have more than 10 million people searching for a doctor on a platform every month. And they're searching for what? I mean, we are not good at telling what's the outcome. It's basically underlying data we need to publish out telling which doctors are using better practices, which are the hospitals which are NABH. We need to really publish that and help the consumer make the decision. How do you help them in discovery? Like I just said, we help them in discovery by making them easy to search, surfacing a lot of this internal information publicly outside so the consumers can find that, and let the doctors also put messages out. For example, there are many doctors on our platform who are actually writing articles about how to do certain things better, and we really publish it to the consumer. There's a lot of value for doctors also to engage with the consumers. We do a lot of those. And naturally, we also have an ad platform for some of the hospitals to come online. Delivery, right? So before Practo, I was a CEO of a company called Quickwell, where we focused completely on this. What do we focus on is the fact that how do we make it very easy to predict when to meet the doctor, right? The challenge is that every patient is different. It's not an easy problem to predict. The scheduling of an appointment in this country is not easy. It's easy to book an appointment. It's very hard to honor an appointment. I mean, anybody who's been in administration will agree with that. The fact that every patient is different, every patient takes more time or less time, there's always interruptions, but all this is easy to solve using technology. I'll just quickly talk about that. So we make it easy to register, records, reminders and follow-ups. We have all of that built in to delight the consumer when he comes for the service. Biggest thing we all will agree is the word of mouth. I mean, most doctors and hospitals have built a brand by consumers or patients going back and telling good things about them. We need to magnify this out. There are unscrupulous elements who are actually not doing it the right way. The right way is to actually empower your patients to really tell good things about you, which we need to publish it out. A bunch of things we do for that. I'll just skip over that. For more details, we have a stall. I can take you through that in detail. So the bigger thing is, what I want to focus is, how do we do it? Like I said, it is powered by data and technology technology is ubiquitous. I mean, it's become so cheap. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. To start with, right? First is mobile phones. Everybody here, I think, has got a smartphone. Every consumer has got a smartphone. How does that really tie together? Second thing is these devices, what I'm showing here, which is shown in a picture there, are a full-fledged computer which costs less than 5,000 rupees. They're as powerful as most modern computers. They can actually power a television. They can detect a mobile phone which comes close by. They can actually store your data. They can actually track your device. They can do everything. They're as good as a computer. And we don't use this. These are called IoT, Internet of Things, where you can actually use it to power who's next in the queue. Is a doctor in the system. He's stepped out for rounds. Where are the beds? You can track it, anything using this. This is such a cheap device. Just 5,000 rupees is the cost of the device. And as powerful as any standard computer. Second thing is sensors have become very cheap, right? I mean, even now, we use a lot of barcoding to tag our devices, beds, and this. Not necessary. These devices cost anywhere between 50 to 500 rupees, depending on the range. They are low-cost Bluetooth devices, which you can stick on any of your device, and an administrator on a mobile phone can track where each of the devices. It'll actually tell you exactly where the map location it lies in, right? Or you can even check where the bed is. The patient is checked in, gone out. All of this becomes so easy to track if a little bit of technology is adapted, and technology is now cheap. That's the main point here. It's no longer very expensive to go and deploy technology, and we are on a mission to make it more and more cheaper and easier to deploy. Lastly, some examples. We have used this devices along with television to tell who's next in the queue, when they can meet the doctor, expected time to meet the doctor. We've used it very effectively. So we do more than 10 million appointments a month. And we have kiosks. So it's a matter of time. If you look at airlines, they have started using kiosks to check in. ATMs have become very powerful. We don't use kiosks. I mean, we really still depend on staff to stand in the queue, make your payments, find your doctor's appointments. Not necessary. These kiosks are extremely cheap. They don't cost anything. You can actually put a kiosk. We have a demo there. You can actually use it to register, for them to discover what they want, do self-help. When the patients are sitting there waiting in your waiting room, doing nothing much, some of these cheap kiosks can actually keep them engaged and actually improve the patient satisfaction and the whole experience out there. So we have already quite a good bunch of hospitals and brands on our platform using many of our technology and seeing good improvement in customer satisfaction. We have moved it on a scale of 5 from 3.3 to really 4.6 or so, right? I mean, many of them are simple things to be done, and we have technology to do that. Thank you for your patience. We'll be happy to take any questions. If we don't have time from the advisors, from the organizers, I'll be happy to meet you in our stall, which is at the back there, to take any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. May I request Dr. Vijay, sir? May I request Dr. Vijay Agarwal to hand over a small memento to the speaker?